Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Megan Boscheman. I'm the Director of BI and Analytics for InOutsource. I'll be kicking off our demonstration and our webinar, and then I will be handing it off to Andrew Harmdirk from Qlik, who will be giving us just some additional background on Qlik, and then Nick Akinslar from Qlik as well, who will be handling the actual product demonstration component. I want to encourage everyone to chat in and ask questions. Obviously, you know, this webinar format can be a little odd, so we want to create as much interaction as possible. I'll go ahead and get started and give everyone a quick intro to InOutsource. I see some familiar names and clients on the line today, so perhaps many of you are already familiar with our company and what we do, but I'll go through and provide a bit of an update today for those that are not. So InOutsource was launched in 2002. We have always focused exclusively on law firms in the legal industry. At our inception, we were formed to provide really primarily records management consulting with the goal to work with law firms to address policies and procedures associated with managing client files. At the time, you know, just based on where the industry was, most of those records were paper. Eventually, the industry evolved, and the way law firms began to manage their information evolved. Electronic files came into play, and the volumes of information grew. Even in the beginning, though, our approach to records and information management was holistic. We've always pushed that the information governance process starts with new business intake. So because of this, we've always consulted with firms and worked with our clients to define and design the new business intake process as well. Early on, we didn't resell or implement any technologies, really. We got involved on technology implementations, working with vendors, working with implementers as advocates for our clients. Our goal was really at the time just to see that the structure of the technology, whether it be for a new business intake system, an RMS, or a DMS, we wanted to see it mimic the policy that we had worked with our clients to put into play. Over the years, this became more and more of a challenge for us. We would run into situations where, you know, we went in and worked with our clients to craft a policy, to craft procedures to carry it out and be compliant, but perhaps the vendor that was involved with helping them roll out or implement their technology didn't maybe get the memo, and they'd end up with a solution that really just didn't fit with the way that they were doing business or the way that they had hoped to conduct business and manage their information. So with that, we decided the only way we could truly benefit our clients was to help them all the way through the life cycle of their technology implementation. With that, about 4 years ago, we began to implement Open, and then again about 2 years ago, FileTrail. And if you're not familiar with the work we're doing with these two products, I encourage you to reach out and learn more. In August of this last year, we officially announced the launch of our BI and Analytics practice. This offering, from my perspective, is a very natural fit for us. Seeing that we've worked with our clients for about 15 years to advise on how to best manage information assets, now we're in a position where we can work with our clients to leverage these assets and help our clients to utilize this information, this data, to achieve greater insight and drive business forward. So we had a kind of a crazy title for the webinar today, you know, the best, perhaps the best BI product isn't legal specific. So why do we say that? There's so many choices. Why did we choose the partners we choose? Why Qlik? Why Sisense? Why Grow? There's so many options available to businesses today, and there's so many legal specific solutions being marketed to law firms as well. Take one stroll around an exhibit hall at either ILSA or Legal Tech, and you'll see that you have options. And we like to see this. I love this trend. It's so important to monitor your data. Even the legal specific tools, they've played such a pivotal role in educating the market regarding like what is possible, what, how much impact can we derive when we bring our disparate data sources together. But the problem with a lot of the legal tools is really just not much of a problem at all, more that they're newer, and they've come about to address pinpoint solutions. They're often reactionary. They've been developed to fix a problem or a set of problems. Perhaps they come with an out-of-the-box functionality that only benefits 1 to 2 departments. This stifles creativity. It stifles data discovery. We want our firms to be thinking when they're purchasing BI, what are we going to do over the next 10 years? How can we be proactive to automate other processes, to bring data together to drive decisions across the enterprise, not maybe just in, finance or associated with matter pricing or client service. Also, the problem with a distinct product for each program is that it also becomes wildly expensive. And we're seeing that firms are often purchasing 3 to 5 technologies to handle what we think could easily be handled in a flexible platform like Qlik. And sometimes, the 3 to 5 technologies is necessary to solve their host of use cases, and sometimes it's necessary to solve like the technical functionality. With Qlik, you'll see today that you get a ton. You have the opportunity to do all components of that analytic process, from the data mashup through the analysis, the analytics, that mathematical component, through the data visualization, the reporting, embedded analytics. You really do get a comprehensive set of functionality. So, the McKinsey report that was recently released in December, great report. If you have the opportunity to read it, fantastic. Really just talked about the state of the industry as it applied to BI and analytics. But one of the big takeaways from that was we are barely scratching the surface in terms of making good use of data. So as your firm's BI strategy matures, my thought process is that the number of potential use cases will just continue to grow and balloon. And your applications are going to become more and more specialized to meet your firm's needs. So I just encourage you all to keep an open mind and cast a wide net when you're looking at business intelligence technology, and consider some of the big players that your clients are using. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Andrew Harmdirks, and he will provide some background on Qlik.
Sure, and Megan, if you just want to pass the presenter over to Nick, I only have three slides. It'll just take 2 minutes, and then Nick can start with the demonstration. So you can just pass it over to him.
Absolutely, and again, feel free to chat in and ask questions, team.
Okay, perfect. Megan, thanks for the intro and allowing us to be part of the presentation today. My name is Drew Harmdirks. I'm part of the account team here at Qlik. I actually look after the Mid-Atlantic region. And along with me is Nick Ackenslar. He's actually the solutions architect. The demonstration that he's going to be showing is actually something that he built, and I'll tell you a little bit more in just a second. Nick, can you go to the next slide? Okay. So just a little bit about Qlik. Again, I only have 2 slides to show here. A little bit about Qlik. Qlik has been around for 20 years at this point. We have over 39,000 customers in 105 countries. The companies that we deal with have somewhere between 1 and 50,000 users. Why that's important is because no matter where you guys are looking today, if you're looking for a solution for your entire firm or your individual department, we'll be able to help support that. And then as you start to scale with the business, we'll be able to support that as well. Part of our go-to-market strategy is actually partnering with companies like InOutsource who have experience in an industry, and then bringing along our software as well. Typically, what we find is companies who partner with someone in the Qlik partnership see an ROI about 40% faster than who try to do it on their own. The last bullet point down here just talks a little bit about deployment. A lot of times when people are looking at some type of software package, they're looking at a deployment that ranges somewhere between 6 and 18 months. The nice thing with Qlik is 50% of our clients are up and running within 30 days, and 75% are up and running within 60 days. So the reality is, if you guys do decide to move forward with Qlik, somewhere in that 4 to 8 week window, you should actually have reports that are in production. Okay. So the last slide here that I want to talk to is really just kind of the 3 main differentiators with Qlik. Number 1, see the whole story that lives within your data. There's constant questions of why did something happen? Is it going to happen again? The way we're able to help solve these problems is what's unique with Qlik is we're able to connect to multiple data sources. A lot of niche products out there, partner up with one other company and pull data and do analysis with that. The great thing with Qlik is we pull your data from all those sources, create associations across the board. So think of this as a single source of the truth. So no matter what you're looking to figure out in the business, no matter where the data comes from, that all can be pulled and aggregated within Qlik. The second is a platform approach. Qlik is not a visualization tool. It's going to support a full spectrum of BI and analytic use cases, and they can be deployed in a variety of formats. I'm not going to get into that too much now because Nick will show you that a variety. But the last piece here is agility for the end user and with trust and scale for IT. Everything is governed by IT. So what that does for the end user is it gives them a trusted framework where they're able to go in with confidence to be able to ask whatever question that they want and know their answer is correct. The other side of that is think of something like Excel, which everybody uses. You make a Excel report, you send that out to 20 people, and probably about 10 minutes you have 20 different reports. The problem is you can start to change and modify that data in maybe ways it shouldn't be. The nice thing with Qlik is you're going to be able to go in and ask any type of question that you want, but ultimately know the answers that you're getting are going to be consistent throughout out of the business. So Nick is going to start with the demonstration. Just want to give you some background. What Qlik is able to do is, if you're interested, obviously reach out to InOutsource, and what we'll do is what's called a free proof of concept, where you can give us some data, tell us your use case, and then we'll actually build you a prototype that you then can take to the business. The demo that he's about to show you is actually one that is was built around a use case for another law firm that we were looking at, and it was actually someone in the e-discovery department. They had 2 revenue streams that they were trying to combine to show their profitability. Okay, so that's really kind of the start of it. Nick, at this point, I'll pass it over to you.
Good, thank you, Andrew. Hi guys, I'm Nick Aikensley. I'm a solutions architect from Qlik. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you basically the top 5 reasons why users love Qlik and love to use Qlik, and I'll be in and out of the application that we built for legal that Andrew talked about. So I'm going to cover smart search, smart visualizations, governed libraries, integrating multiple data sources, and finally the data storytelling features of our product. So the first one is a smart search and data exploration. So the idea is that you shouldn't have to be a data scientist or a genius to be able to find data. It should be easy. So for that purpose, Qlik provides what we call a smart search. So what's a smart search? So smart search is basically a Google-like search engine against your data. So again, in a BI application, you can have one or multiple data sources, but if a user can't find what they're looking for, all the data is useless. So with Qlik provides Google-like experience for your users so they can actually start searching the data and analyzing the data. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that works within a law firm application like this. So here we have a mock-up application. This is an executive level dashboard. So we just have few KPIs on this dashboard. What you don't see is a bunch of drop-down boxes, filters, and things like that cluttering the screen. It's a pretty elegant looking application. So in this application, we have a few areas that we keep track of. So we have fees that are billed. So this law firm has legal fees. They also charge for units. Those are storage units for papers and electronic documents. So we're tracking of how much we work, how much we bill, how much we collect, and these are the KPIs, how much we gave, we have write-downs in terms or write-offs. So right now we're looking at the KPIs for current year-to-date numbers, and the percentages show the comparison from last year. It's up or down in terms of fees billed, units billed, total write-downs, and total write-offs. And we also have a KPIs for showing you the year-to-date fees collected and actual units collected as well. Now, this is great. We can actually see the whole law firm and as an aggregate how much work we're generating or how much money we're generating. But what if we have additional questions? What if we are looking for a certain attorney or certain case to get the details on that? How we will do that? This is where the smart search comes in. So on every QlikSense application, on the top right corner, you'll see a little search icon. So if you click on that, it'll pop a little text box, and here we can actually type in words that pretty much same as what we would do in a Google. So in this case, whatever I was looking for, I know the attorney name is Gilbert, and he's working on a case, and the client name has the word Murphy in it. So how would I do that? So I'll just simply type in attorney name is Gilbert, and as I'm typing in, it actually shows me every visualization that has the word Gilbert on top. Also at the bottom, it shows me every column within the data set that contains the word Gilbert. I have a timekeeper called Gilbert Raymond. I also have a billing attorney called Philip Gilbert and Michael Gilbert. So you can see all the variations. The nice thing is, as a user, you don't have to know what the column names, where to search. You just type in whatever you're looking for, and the system will find it. And whether the data is coming from a single source or a whole lot of different sources, doesn't matter. But you're not limited to one word. We can also look for additional things. So I know he was working on a client named Murphy, so I can start typing Murphy. As soon as I type in the second word, now I see the list of visualizations that contain both, but also see combinations that exist in the data set. So now I can see the actual combinations that exist where the attorney is Gilbert and the client name is Murphy. So to see the details for this, all I have to do is basically click on the billing attorney Gilbert, Michael Gilbert, and client name Murphy. Just clicking on that, you'll notice the entire dashboard updated immediately. And now I'm actually seeing how much Michael Gilbert generated for this client, Murphy, Crooks Murphy, and whatnot. So the first thing you notice is every KPI updated automatically, so as soon as I search. And it also puts little breadcrumb trails of what my filters are. So here, this shows two purposes. It tells me that for users, they can actually look at that breadcrumb trail at any point in time and see what they're currently filtering on. So their search parameters always on top, so easily visible, so you're never lost. The second thing is it allows users to select, change the filter values. So instead of I can pick another attorney, I can remove a filter, I can change look at a different attorney, see the values for those. Or I can go backwards and forwards between my selections. So as I make those selections, basically everything, the filters allow me to see what I'm searching on as well as change the parameters. So you can see how easy it is for a common user. Anybody who knows how to use Google can come in here and type in a search criteria and find the details. So this is an executive level dashboard, so you can see within a split second how the firm is doing, whether it's globally or for a specific client or for a specific attorney. So if I again remove the client name, so I see the totals for the Michael Gilbert with all the clients combined. So the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into another dashboard. So this is the executive level dashboard. We built multiple different dashboards within this application. So right now we're looking at this executive level dashboard. We have a dashboard for fee generation. That's basically fee generation shows us how much work the attorneys are putting in terms of hours and units. Billing generation allows you to analyze how much of their work is getting billed. And fee realization dashboard allows you to analyze how much of the billing, this is your accounts receivable, how much accounts receivable getting from those generated bills. We also have an analysis page for pipeline analysis, and we can also analyze using revenue loss, write-down, and write-off screens by looking at how much details of the write-offs and write-downs. So what I'm going to do is from the screen, from the dashboard, I'm going to go to fee generation analysis. So here we're looking at a fee generation analysis screen. One thing you might notice is it still has the billing attorney selected, Michael Gilbert. So as I move from one dashboard to another, it keeps your filters, so you're always looking at the relevant data. So I'm looking at the Michael Gilbert fee generation history. This is a timeline. The colors indicate two things. The red color shows you the fees generated by legal fees, and the blue color indicates fees generated from unit fees. So those are your storage and medium storage fees. So per month, you can actually see the breakdown of how much unit fees you charge versus how much legal fees you charge. Again, this data, these visualizations are specific for a single attorney because that was we selected originally. If I clear this, so we get in a whole holistic view of the whole law firm. The first thing is that everything is interactive. So that means if I see something, if something catches my eye, I can click on it and drill into details. If I click on a specific month, you'll notice every KPI and every visualization updates based on what I selected. And this behavior is automatic, so there's nothing you have to do. So I can select individual months to see the details in terms of KPIs on the left, and number of the attorneys involved, the clients involved, and departments involved for that month. Or I can actually select in multiple months. I can look at the last quarter compared to a previous quarter. So it's very easy to use. You can broaden your selection, narrow down your selection. So everything is interactive. So if I focus on the last 3 months, make it a selection. So now I can see per month. On the February, it was almost 50-50 units versus legal fees. Well, on March, it looks like we charge a lot more unit fees than legal fees. Again, if I wanted to see the breakdown of this month, I can either hover over it or I can just click on it, and all the KPIs will update based on my selections. So the dashboards that we created for each individual area look fairly similar to this. They follow the same concept. Where the concept is, we have a timeline history here, so you can see how much fees generated or billed per month. We have a scattered plot of total fees generated by billing ratio, bill percentage. So in this case, these are each individual bubble is an attorney. This allows you to see within this 3 months, individual attorneys, how much they charge in terms of fees, and what the percentage of billing fee is. So and we can focus on individual areas. So if I look at this clump of attorneys, my optimal and acceptable levels of a billing ratio is between 80 and 50%. So these are the attorneys, these are individual attorneys are actually charged where their billing ratio is below 50%. So we can actually focus on those, make a selection. Let's go take a look at those attorneys. And the bubble size indicates basically total billed amounts. I can see all of these individual attorneys that work in these individual 3 months where they have less than 50% billing ratio. So we can focus on individual attorneys by clicking on this chart. And as soon as I click on a single attorney, you'll see the clients they work with and the department they're involved with as well. So everything is, again, interactive. So we have a list of departments involved. So I can actually focus on an individual department, let's say commercial litigation. If I select that, so now we're seeing the attorneys only for the commercial litigation, and these are the list of attorneys, and these are list of the clients. If I click on a single client, I'll see the attorneys involved with each client. So let's take a look at it and see if we have, looks like it's 1-to-1 ratio. Or if I click on an attorney, I'll see all the clients they work with. Again, in this case, Allen work with these 4 clients. I can make it a selection. Or again, I can select, let's take a look at total of these top 3 attorneys, which clients they work with, what kind of fees generated, legal fees versus unit fees, and how much they billed it. So they're below 21%. They're at 21% combined billing ratio. So this screen, in a nutshell, allows you to look at your fee generation and look at the billing ratio of your individual attorneys and analyze that. Now, if I switch to another screen, so now we can actually look at the billing details, billing generation screen. It follows the same concept. Again, if I remove the filter, we'll see a timeline of our billing generation. So we're looking at the billing history. Again, if you need to focus on specific months, I can make selections like this, and let's pick 5 or 6 months. And in this case, we're still looking at the billing. This scatter plot shows you the billing amount total per attorney. Each bubble is an attorney versus their billing ratio. Again, we can focus on the specific attorneys where they billed less than, let's say, 50%. Make that a selection. So this is all the attorneys, they basically bill ratio is less than 50%. This is the timeline of your billing, combination of all the attorneys. Again, if I pick a single attorney here, let's say Irene Green, then I see the individual, the clients they work with and how much fees they generated per client or billed in this case. Or again, I can do the reverse. If I click on an individual client, I can see all the attorneys associated with this client. In this case, this client, multiple attorneys work with this client, and this is their billing generation.
And something to keep in mind, what we're showing here, this just happened to be one use case for one shareholder at one firm. When we're going through this demonstration, really just focus on kind of the capabilities and what's possible. Because the reality is, in any given firm, we could have, they could have 20, 50 different dashboards.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, next.
No problem. So again, we have similar screens for fee realization. In this case, we were looking at basically the amount of billing we did versus how much we are getting paid on those billings. So in this case, again, we can focus on individual departments. Let's say I can look at the global insurance department and see the attorneys, or I can select multiple departments and see the total combination of how much was billed and how much fees were collected and percentage, which is the realization ratio. Again, we have the same similar interface where we can actually focus on attorneys that have specifically lower percentage of fee collections, and we can actually focus on individual clients or attorneys just by interacting with bar charts. And this is a good one to show if you select a single attorney. In this case, let's say Anthony Fernandez. If I make that a selection, it's a drill down. It goes to the next level. These are the list of matters that he worked on in terms of how much collections we got, fee realization, and matter number and matter description. Again, matter names or matter descriptions are kind of randomized, so they don't make sense, but you can actually drill down to individual matters. So the screens are similar, but it allows you to analyze different aspects of your business in terms of how much you worked, how many hours they put in, how much they billed, how much they collected. We can jump into a pipeline analysis where the pipeline is basically we can look at it by department. The larger the box, the bigger the pipeline. So I can focus on, let's say, intellectual property and commercial litigation together. See how much pipeline, over 1 million pipeline. And the pipeline is color-coded where the red indicates unbilled units, yellow is units AR, fees unbilled, and fees AR. Each has a specific color, so you can see the breakdown per attorney, per client of your pipeline. And again, we can focus on, let's say, how much pipeline we have with using our top 4 attorneys. And almost 50% of the whole pipeline, which is almost 500K. And if we look at by client again, if you focus on a client, this client, you have about 172,000 total pipeline. And this is the breakdown of each type of units versus ARs versus fees. So again, pipeline analysis screen allows you to analyze your pipeline, whether by attorney, by client, by department. Then we have revenue loss. Again, this will look fairly similar to the other screen. So this is basically total of your write-off and write-down. So this is anytime you remove a fee or you discount, this is how you can analyze it. We can see, well, let's take a look at the attorneys that give the most write-off. So I can basically select on the scatter plot. And from this, on the y-axis is write-down. So from these attorneys, I want to look at the top write-downs as well. So I can actually say, well, let's take a look at these clump of lawyers, attorneys that give most write-downs. So these are basically the individual timeline history of your write-offs and write-downs. And we can see this client has the biggest write-down and write-off total. So these are sorted by the client. These are your totals. The biggest is Henderson. That gives the highest write-off and write-downs. So with this screen, basically, you can analyze how much you're basically leaving off the table by discounts and removing fees.
And something to look at while Nick is going through this. Again, just looking at kind of the the functionality of it. Everything is completely interactive. Everything he selects is when he makes a selection, it's automatically populated everywhere else in the application. Okay, and then also the speed, the volume of data that Qlik is able to process. We have clients with hundreds of millions and billions of rows of data. And we can have a further deep dive about how that works. But the idea is no matter what volume of data, once you make a selection, within a fraction of a second, you're actually able to see your results.
Okay. Again, we have other similar screens, so we can actually analyze write-downs on a specific write-downs. We have a screen for that. We also have a specific screen for analyzing write-off. So we've broken down basically each type of analysis in a different screen. So depending on what your needs are, you can jump onto that dashboard and analyze it. We also have a geo-analysis where we can map things. So we can actually map offices or locations, individual locations, whether it's clients or offices on a map. And we can, each bubble, in this case, bubble in size indicates total pipeline on this map versus year-to-date billed amount on this map. So we can interact with maps as well. So we can say, well, let's see, these are my offices, how much West Coast is doing. So they're basically generate $904,000 in legal and unit fees total. So you can definitely have geo-analytics where you can analyze by geolocation, or we can say, well, let's look at bottom half of United States, those locations versus 474. Again, as you make those selections, all the name of client list and the attorney list will update based on your selections and based on those locations that you selected. Finally, these are the visualizations. At the end of the day, if you need to see details, you can always jump into a dashboard called Details. So you can actually see more like Excel-like table format, detailed data, versus, or you can have a pivot table where you can actually, these are interactive pivot tables. So let's say this is timekeeper broken down by timekeeper, matter number, matter description. Maybe you want to break it down by billing attorney, then timekeeper, and the client name, or client name and a billing attorney. So you can definitely use the pivot tables to analyze the data any way you like. So again, if I just move the timekeeper first, then it will update this table based on my selection. And at any point, you can right-click on any visualization and export the data to an Excel if you need to. Finally, also, if you have electronic document management systems where you're tracking electronic documents, and those systems allow you to make API calls, we can actually interact with those as well. So you can literally see electronic documents stored within a third-party system within a QlikSense application. So if you do your analysis and you get to an individual matter or an attorney, you can actually see documents associated with those individual matters directly from our application as well. So that was, in a nutshell, a short demo of the law firm application we've created. The other things that we wanted to talk about is actually the mobile use. So again, for any BI application to be successful, it has to be interactive, which we saw it was. It has to work fast. Again, every time I click on things, the response times are a split second, so you never have to wait for anything. And it has to also be able to work on any device. So whether it's a tablet, it's a phone, it's a laptop, or it's a 20-foot screen like you see on the screenshot, it should just work out of the box. So here we can actually see the same application on a mobile phone and on an iPad at the same time. So the application will automatically render itself based on the screen size, and it will change the layout and the size of the objects based on your device. So you never have to design a different application for a different device. And you can start your analysis on one device, jump onto a phone, and keep going with a laptop. So it doesn't really matter. The nice thing is, if you try to interact with any of these objects, you'll see the other device gets updated immediately as well. And because it's responsive in design, it knows when the device is too small, such as a smartphone. So if I try to interact with any of the visualizations on a smartphone, as soon as I click on it, it will make the visualization full screen. So yeah, you can actually use your fingers to make selections, just like you would do on a full application. And again, anytime I make a selection, it reflects on the iPad as well. So there's a great benefit where you can, if you have attorneys that are not using PCs or laptops, they can just hop on their phone or tablets and have the same kind of experience. And then lastly, this was just one way of delivering an application. This is a QlikSense application, and it's all browser-based. But you can also embed entire applications or individual components, visualizations of these from these applications into either your internal customer portals, your attorney portals, any custom application you might have. So here we have a Salesforce application. It's a third-party Salesforce application. One way is we can take an entire QlikSense application like we saw and embed into a third-party Salesforce and have it run right within the Salesforce. And it has the same kind of interactive experience as you would with a full application. But another great thing is if you have customer portals or attorney portals that you already have, we can actually embed individual visualizations directly into those applications. In this case, if I jump to an accounts page from Salesforce and open up an individual account, these visualizations are context sensitive. That means they will render visualizations based on what the client is looking at. So right now I'm looking at the ABC company on Salesforce. If I scroll down, you'll see that the visualizations are rendered based on this company. So I'm seeing relevant data without even having to go to another BI tool within my applications that I'm using. So again, this could be your internal portal, it could be external facing customer portal where your clients can look at, analyze their the attorneys or billing details directly from your portal as well.
So the great thing with that, with any type of solution like this, it's always about adoption, right? You know, does the solution work for our firm, and then how are people actually going to use it? The great thing with this is no matter where they're working today, if it's on a website or another platform, you're actually able to take Qlik and actually embed it in there. This is going to help them, you know, it's going to ease them into the process. They're already there anyway, and now they can start making selections. Again, if that's for internal consumption or if you're doing something externally as well. Okay. The other thing that I want to throw out there is just some other use cases. Again, we primarily just showed kind of one use case, and happened to be for a individual department. Some of the other, some of the other firms that we've spoken to, obviously a attorney dashboard like Nick showed here, profitability dashboard, actually show true profitability, pulling the data from all the sources with their expenses and costs. We do apps for finance, marketing, e-discovery, conflict, subrogation, IT. One of the more interesting ones, and Nick actually built another proof of concept for another firm, and what it does is it actually takes incoming alerts from both Bloomberg and Westlaw, breaks up the individual company names along with the house file, and then what it does is it automates to say, listen, this email just came in that says this company is being sued in another corporation. It has a 99% match that it is one of our customers. So think of all the manual labor that goes into someone just trying to figure out, if Comcast LLC is the same as Comcast Inc. or whatever the case may be. Qlik was actually utilized to be able to help automate that process and save them 4 hours per day for one admin who was doing the work. Okay? Sorry, Nick. Back to you.
No problem. So another great feature of Qlik is that it allows users to customize their own dashboard. So if the users don't like the dashboard that you provide them, they can actually create their own dashboards, visualizations, but do it in a manner that's governed. So in an Excel sheet, in an Excel world, when you have the data, you can pretty much create anything you want. That means different people might end up with different numbers, then at the end of the day, you're discussing who's right instead of the actual numbers. With Qlik Sense, we can actually deploy a governed library of data where users can simply just pick up and start creating visualizations. That governed data is typically governed by IT, where IT publishes different dimensions and metrics. Those are formulas pre-calculated. How do we calculate the revenue or profitability? So users basically all they have to do is drag and drop those items on the screen and create a dashboard. This allows users to be able to create dashboards and per user, which is different. They might use a bar chart versus a pie chart, but at the end of the day, regardless of who's creating what, they always end up with the exact same number because those metrics and dimensions are governed. So it's pretty simple for users. I mean, a common user can do this. We can just drag and drop a bar chart, go to my governed library, where basically this is where the IT or the business can release various items such as dimensions or measures, or it could be entire visualizations. So I can say, well, I want to create a bar chart of a billing attorney, drag and drop, and in terms of measures, how I want to measure, let's say I want to say billed amount total, drag and drop. So now that creates a bar chart. As a user, I can style it, make it vertical, change the colors, maybe give it a more like a heat map. And I can actually drag and drop additional visualizations. So let's say we want to put a pie chart here and maybe put a department. Drag and drop. And in terms of measures, we can just drag and drop, let's say, pipeline total. So now we have a pie chart. And the great thing is, because these are all governed, the numbers are always accurate. And you can even have pre-built visualizations. In this case, scatter plot is more harder to create for end users, so you can actually create and publish pre-built visualizations. So now, just as quickly by dragging and dropping, I just created a custom dashboard for myself. And again, if I make selections on one, the other charts will update based on my selections. If I make a selection on this one, everything is interactive and dynamic, will link together automatically. So you don't have to do anything special to have that kind of behavior.
And the end user don't have to worry about, did I do this formula correct? Did I do the math right? It's already in there, so everyone's going to get the exact same answer.
Yeah. So we talked about mashups and embedded analytics already. And finally, the storytelling feature that I talked about. Qlik also allows you to create PowerPoint-like presentations within the application. Benefit of using Qlik as creating a PowerPoint presentation or using a story feature is that you can embed visualizations into your slide, where those visualizations are actually interactive. I did this entire presentation using the storyboard of Qlik Sense. So I didn't actually use PowerPoint. Here we can actually see I embed a couple of visualizations from the application. The nice thing is, if you're using a story like this within Qlik Sense, if somebody questions your findings during your presentation, typically if it's a PowerPoint world, you have to go back and research that item and come up with answers a week later. With Qlik Sense, you can simply just right-click on the chart, say go to source. It will take you right into the application, and it will apply the filters that you use to take that snapshot. You can analyze the data furthermore, prove your point. When you're done, you just click on this little return button on top, and it takes you right back to your slide. You can continue with your presentation. So these are my basically your top 5 reasons why Qlik is chosen by users within the legal firm application.
And one thing I want to talk about that storytelling feature, right? So think of how often that we go into a presentation with a PowerPoint and we go in there to answer 5 questions and we can come out with 10 more. The great thing is with this is you can toggle back and forth in the app whenever you want, and this could be an internal meeting or it could be external. The nice thing is you're able to export anything out of the app that you want. So if you make a storyboard in here and then you want to export it to a PowerPoint, you show up to a client or an internal meeting, you then have a handout for people, an actual PowerPoint that they can use or a PDF, and then you can actually talk to the process itself. Okay, so I think those are really the main points that we want to hit on. Megan, are there any questions that have been posted?
Yes, we have just a couple of questions. I will go ahead and read those questions and I'll let you guys answer. So one of the first questions that came up is, will I be able to connect to Elite or Relativity using Qlik?
Sure.
Well,
yeah,
do you want to take that answer?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, didn't mean to talk over you there. Yeah, and that is a great question. The app that actually Nick showed that was part of the proof of concept, we actually built that by pulling in data from Elite. Qlik is data agnostic, so regardless of where your data sits, we'll be able to actually connect that data and extract it out. The next level for that actual particular app is going to be actually blending in relativity data. So again, these 2 different data sources being able to pull into one centralized area.
And again, this is Megan. So whether you have, this person has Elite and Relativity, but say you had something different, like Adirant for your financial system, or you want to talk about your record system or your DMS, like Andrew said, it doesn't matter. We can pull in data from your sources, the sources that are specific to you and the sources that you'll need to accomplish your use cases.
All right. And Megan, the reality is we have 39,000 customers, and we have yet to speak to someone who are not able to bring their data in. Depending on the data source, it could change the level of difficulty to be able to bring it in. But once that connection is made, it's automatically going to feed that data into Qlik.
Right. So we have another question around security. Is it possible to limit access by department, practice group, or attorney so we can ensure that people are only seeing the data that they should have access to?
Again, a great question. So what Qlik has section access. So at any point you can determine who has access to which apps. So for example, this was one of the apps, but your firm may have 20 different apps that are in there. First thing is you decide who has access to that app. And then within that app, which sheets they're able to see, but then further, what's that actual line item of data. So for example, if I'm a attorney and I have access to this app, I can actually just see data that is reflected to me. Someone higher up in the organization, let's say the CEO, can go in and actually see all of the attorneys. So yeah, you decide who has access to what, and that can be done by the reports, the sheets, or the actual individual data. Absolutely.
All right, and then I have another question that just came in that is, are you able to apply filters such as looking at only non-contingent matters? I can let Nick or Andrew talk about this more, but everything is custom. With Qlik, you're starting with a blank slate. It's really up to you what you want to look at and how you want to dig into it. We can apply, any number of filters, and those filters can be created custom to suit the needs of your firm.
Yeah, I'll also chime in. So basically, when you bring in data to Qlik, any value that's in that data is filtered. You can filter it by. So any word, number, phrase, whatever the data exists, you can actually use that smart search capability to filter the data. So we don't actually have to create the filters as soon as the data comes into the application, the entire data set is searchable. So if you remember, if I jump into the application real quick, I did this on the executive level dashboard. In this case, all I did was I type in something, let's say attorney name, so Gilbert, right? So again, if the value that you were looking for is in the data set, spelled out, or there's some kind of a code that's associated with this per matter. So you can go ahead and actually just type that value and narrow down the records that way. And we can also put drop-down boxes, list boxes as well if it's something common that you need to search. But yeah, very easy. So it just has to exist in your data, then it's searchable.
All right. One of the questions that came in early on was that we have been thinking about changing the way we present data to our clients. Could we embed Qlik in client extranets? And I think Nick probably covered that already. But simple answer is absolutely. We can embed those visualizations wherever it is that you need to visualize them. Intranet, SharePoint, client extranets, like your internal software, whatever is of most value to you.
Yep, and the nice thing is all the visualizations or the entire application is HTML5, latest and greatest web technology and responsive design. So regardless of how your portal or external website looks, you'll be able to embed it in a way that it looks just part of the site, so it doesn't look out of place. And it'll also honor the security, so if a client logs in, they'll only see their data, and the visualizations will show relevant data to their account number or account ID that we can incorporate your existing security structure easily into these applications and embedded visualizations.
And really,
we've lost you, Andrew. Okay, well, this is Megan, and I think we're just about wrapping up there. My last question was just, is there any number or limit to the number of dashboards or charts that we can publish? And answer to that is no. Licensing is going to be per user, so it will not matter. And we encourage you to get to a point where you have that high level of adoption and you can, be implementing, rolling out dashboards, applications for very many use cases. We anticipate that if you end up with Qlik, you're going to, become addicted, and you're going to want more, and you're going to end up with a lot of use cases. So as we've lost Andrew and Nick, I'm going to go ahead and just thank everyone for coming out today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You should have my contact information from the webinar, but I will go ahead also and follow up with each of you individually in the coming week. Again, thank you for taking the time, and keep in mind that Qlik does have that proof of concept option, so give us the opportunity and we will show you what Qlik looks like with your data. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend.